Hey guys, today's video is going to be a more serious video. I am just going to talk about my grandpa. He died about 2 years ago. It was about a month before Christmas. So I'm just going to talk about him and the experience, things I've been thinking about revolving around him and his death and that sort of thing. So my grandpa had cancer, and it was throughout pretty much his entire body. And the day that he died, he was going to have surgery. I don't remember where the surgery was supposed to be. But about halfway through the surgery, they found out that he wasn't going to make it. My grandparents lived about 10 hours from where we live, so we weren't there for that. My grandma called, and I was home alone, and she said that Grandpa wasn't going to make it. And I remember that not really registering completely. I didn't completely comprehend what she was saying. I knew what she meant, but I didn't understand. It just kind of felt impossible. So when we were hanging up, it was very cheerful and casual. At the time, I was sitting in my room decorating for Christmas. I was putting popcorn on a thread with beads. And after the call, I sat there for 2 more hours crying and continuing to thread popcorn and beads onto a string to decorate for Christmas. Then my family got home, and I told them about the phone call, and then my dad called my grandma back. It was his father, and we found out that he had died during surgery. His lungs went out because they weren't capable of handling it. He was 90 years old, so he lived pretty long, but for me, it was still too soon to lose him. I wasn't ready to let go. I still haven't really let go of my grandpa. He was such a huge part of my childhood. When I think back to childhood memories, I have 3 main memories. One was reading a book. I don't even know what book it was. Another was sitting in a window seat in a house that we lived in when I was 3. And then my last memory was fishing with him and catching a snapping turtle and watching him get the fishing hook out of the turtle's mouth. And he was so brave and strong, and the turtle was terrifying to me, but he wasn't scared of it at all. And his existence felt like it kind of represented my childhood to me. He was the perfect grandfather, and he taught me a lot. When I started getting older, when I was about 10, 11, and 12, I always felt really awkward around my grandpa. I'm not sure why, but I did, and I didn't talk to him much, and when I was at their house, I would try to avoid him. And then after that, I started to be able to relate to him more, and we had common interests. Like, my grandpa and I both love photography. He would show me old pictures that he found from years ago, and one of my hobbies is collecting old pictures. If he saw something he thought would make a good picture, he would point it out to me, because by the end he had had a stroke, and he was so shaky that he wasn't able to hold a camera and take a picture without it being blurry. He told the absolutely worst jokes ever, but he was also probably the funniest person I have ever known and ever will know. He always knew how to make anybody laugh. No matter who you were, my grandpa could make you laugh. He was always really cynical and pessimistic, and when I was younger I didn't really understand. But then later his sarcasm would kind of join with his cynicism, and I could completely relate to the things that he said, and I understood, and we had this very similar frame of mind. Before he died, he gave me his old film cameras. because he used to have his own black room, and he was really into photography. So he gave me 3 of those, and they're really big and they're very nice cameras. And every time I would go to visit him, he asked if I had any film developed, and I never got it developed for him. I always planned on, that Christmas I had planned on shooting a roll of film and then putting it into a photo album for him, but obviously that didn't happen. But honestly, my biggest regret with him is that I never developed any of the film that I shot to show him. I was just thinking about this channel and how much he would love that I'm making it, and how much he would love watching my videos and seeing me do stuff like this. Even the tripod that I use to make these videos, it was his. It's decades old, but it still works. He was so proud to have me as his granddaughter, and he was one of the few people that, if he told you something, if he complimented you, then you would really believe it, and it really meant something. And I remember this one time that he looked at me and he told me that he loved me and that I was beautiful, and I think that that was the first time in my life that I believed that completely. And he was always the strongest person to me, and I remember the last time that we went to their house while he was still alive. It was at Thanksgiving, and we were there for their my grandparents' anniversary. And I walked in and he was laying on the chair, and he had his special chair that reclined, and so I went in and I gave him a hug, and I could feel how weak he was, and I remember I was terrified the entire week that we were there. I didn't talk to him. I didn't really look at him. I didn't know how to lose somebody that meant so much. That was such a big part of my identity. He was such a special person. Like I said earlier, he was such a pessimist, but usually pessimists bring everybody down, but everybody loved my grandpa, everyone. And at his funeral service, my grandpa wasn't a Christian, and he was very open about the fact that he didn't believe in God. And one of the comments that stood out the most was the pastor got up that was doing the service, and he said, if anyone could get into heaven for being a good person, it would be Bernie. The fact that I didn't talk to him the last week that I saw him didn't really set in until we went to where they live for his service. And he had 4 grandchildren, my brothers, me, and then I have a cousin, and we weren't all going to speak, so my dad just wanted me to write something for him to read for us all. And so I went, and there's a park about a quarter mile from their house that has a gazebo by the pond that he used to take us fishing at. And so I went down there with paper and pen, and I just started writing, and I realized everything that I've lost when he died. He was a strong support. He was laughter. He was my childhood. He was the one thing that I look forward to seeing twice a year. And he inspired me. He supported me. And I realize how much of him there is in me now. When I look at the map on my wall behind me with the pins in it, my grandma and he went on vacations, and they went to a different country every year, and he took pictures of everywhere he went, and they just like to explore. You really don't fully understand what you have until you've lost it, and I lost one of the most amazing people who ever lived, and don't let this happen to you. Don't realize how amazing somebody is when you're about to lose them. Don't walk out without telling someone you love them because you're afraid to see them weak. Because I did that the end of the last time that I saw him. I saw him awake in his room, but he was in bed and he wasn't strong enough to stand up, and I didn't go, and I didn't say goodbye, and I didn't tell him I loved him that time. And I thought that I was going to see him again the next month for Christmas, and I didn't, and always let the people that you love know that you love them, and hold on to the memories that you have. And don't leave yourself with any regrets. I'm sorry that I ended up bawling through most of this video, but I love my grandpa so much, and I miss him, and there's so many things every day that I wish I could write to him and tell him about that I will never have the chance to. And I honestly don't think I will ever be a better man than my grandpa was, and I don't know if there will be anyone that will be as important to who I am as he was. I really love you, Grandpa, and I don't know how to say goodbye.